Boom shakalaka. What is going on, everybody? Randall here from Crypto Love, and I am joined today by Chase Chang, the VP of Ecosystem at TTC. What's going on, Chase?
Hey, how are you? You got a lot of energy happening there. I don't know if I can keep up with that.
Yeah,
Nice
well,
to
I was
yeah,
told when I started. I was told when I started that if you don't have a lot of energy, then it just looks like you're very dull on camera. So, pump it up.
right. Okay.
How you doing today?
Good. Excellent, actually.
Yeah.
How are you?
Oh, doing very well. Just got back from a week of vacation, so now I'm back in the thick of things. So today we're going to be talking about TTC, the TTC protocol, ecosystem, and everything. So to begin with, for people who haven't heard of TTC, could you give us a elevator pitch? What is TTC?
Right. So we are actually here to disrupt the current traditional centralized social networks, right? So what our products do is basically we measure everyone's online social interaction, how people are interacting online, and then we take those contributions, value, and then distribute back to the users. So instead of all the value going back to a centralized platform, such as big names that everybody knows, we are actually giving those value driven by the contribution back to the users.
That's a pretty big problem right now that you're aiming to solve, because everybody's posting stuff on, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever, but we're making nothing, if anything, from it, whereas the big companies are making it all.
Really interesting era, because I think we are actually seeing a new generation of people who's actually spending more time communicating, socializing online than offline, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that actually translates to a lot of value because it leaves two things on the two footprints, let's say. One is all the activity translates to data, and second, all the time, which is basically monetized through the advertising, right? Because you need the idle time. And those two has an immense value, as you can see in the stock market, but as you said, none of those value that's contributed by every single participant, it's not coming back to any of those people's, pouring into the system. And we're here to change that. That's the elevator pitch.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I like the whole concept of the attention economy, where we actually kind of make money from what we give our attention to. That's pretty
Right.
cool. So before we get more into TTC, how did you get into blockchain and TTC and all this stuff? What's your background?
Right. So basically, CEO of the TTC protocol, Brian Chung, I've known him for 10 years. So he just pulled me into this industry like Alice in the Wonderland almost. I'm the rabbit into the rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. My background is purely mobile, purely social. So I started my career in the SoftBank Ventures, which is one of the largest VC firm in Korea. I actually one of the first starting member of the Line in Thailand. I don't know, probably people in the Western hemisphere.
Oh, yeah. I've used Line. I was in Thailand for a little bit.
Oh, wait, Line is super big in crypto now, so I guess people who's listening probably know them. But Thailand is like 95% mobile penetration there. It's number one messenger. It has tons of marketability there. I was one of the first one. Was lucky to be there when it started. And then I joined a startup called Retrica, which had over 350 million downloads around the world. So my background is entirely mobile, more like a traditional non-crypto, let's say. And then I just got into crypto this year on February, so I'm very new to this world as well. However, I saw the immense potential of the technology. I didn't care so much about the trading values or the cryptocurrency pricing, but I saw it kind of more like how offline to online, online to mobile, and then I'm seeing a fourth wave third wave that I'm seeing. I just had to jump in. And Brian already had a social network in China, which we talk about. It's called ttc.eco. It'll be our first step into the TTC protocol. It has 13 million users, and it's very active social network in China. So that's kind of our starting bed, and everything seems so fun. And I naturally love all the startup energy and all this stuff. So I just jump in.
Cool. So I got a lot of questions from that coming. First thing is, so you've had Tata UFO for, I think, since 2013 or so.
Right.
So that was a pre-blockchain application, but now it's something that's going to be used on TTC. So what's the process for kind of integrating that?
I really love it, and I really love how your question is built on it in a way that a service is used on protocol. But in my opinion, how we are seeing is that entirely opposite, actually. So we kind of see ourselves as blockchain-based growth hacking tool almost. That's very similar to, let's say, Google Analytics or Facebook logging, right? I'm just going to use those two as an example. Those two doesn't change anything, any function or the characteristic of the community. When those functions are being used in a service, they serve one purpose each. One of them helps people to sign up easy, and the other one is help the developers understand the data, how people are behaving inside the app. And those are serving one purpose only, to grow that service better and larger, right? Mm-hmm. What we are building is that we're building a simple, easy to integrate SDK that is built on blockchain, right? And then what happens is that when a service is integrating that SDK into their existing service, they can start incentivizing users for their contribution. So it doesn't change any of the user behavior. These are same people who love socializing in a certain app. For example, Tata, they're leaving posts, they're leaving photos, they're liking, they're commenting, they're following, they're doing their own things. And suddenly, starting one day, they just start to be incentivized for actions, right? And this idea can happen to any existing social driven community or social networks in the world. So we are really all about user adoption. And I think the biggest part is that there's no user in crypto world, in my opinion. There's only 20 million crypto holders in the world, and there are 7 billion people out there. So which way?
Mm-hmm.
Blockchain technology that is simple and easy for existing platforms with existing users to integrate, right? So for Tata, all it has to do is that integrate SDK into their existing service, and they'll be on chain. Their users will be incentivized, which will help them to grow their platform.
That's awesome. So, I saw that you have a testnet out now, the Meraki testnet, and you have the reward system that you're working on. So, when are you looking at integrating this reward system with Tata UFO?
In a testnet, because Tata UFO is already owned by the same CEO there, our testnet is actually working in parallel with integration into Tata UFO right now. So if you're downloading our wallet called ttc Connect, right? It connects all the DApps, right? You can download Tata UFO, you can download ttc Connect, and then you can actually bind them. And bind Connect app and click one button, and it'll just do very simple one page, like SSO type, like Google login kind of thing, bind it, bound. And then what happens is that you start receiving rewards, right? And right now, because it's testnet, the coin you're receiving is obviously it's a fake money. It doesn't have any real value. However, you can experience how your actions in certain social network actually can get you real, cryptocurrency value, right? And that's going to go live as early as December this year. That really depends on how much of the security testing that we are running right now, the result, how it comes out. The world could be changing by 2018, right? So that's very exciting for us.
That is really cool. So I got to ask, why would someone choose to go with TTC as opposed to building on another platform, something like Ethereum or Tron or something like that?
Right. Excellent question. As I said, our goal is to user adoption, right? So a lot of services that has users now trying to look into the blockchain and this cryptocurrency, because I think they have a hint that it could help them build their existing service larger, right? TTC versus our project, biggest one, our message to them is that we tell them not to write a white paper, not to do an ICO, not to hire blockchain engineers, because they don't have to do any of those. I use the Google Analytics as an example. Google doesn't tell you to build your own data backend tool because we're going to give you all this coding, right? They just tell you, snip it in, and then you're set, right? So any other cryptocurrency project or mainnet projects, what they're saying is that, hey, we have this awesome platform. You can build whatever you want. However, the thing is you have to build it, right? TTC protocol, you don't have to build it. Everything's built. Just plug it in. So this is our main philosophy that's entirely focused on we're crazy about user adoption. And then for actually existing services that's doing well, they're too busy with growing their services. They're not going to hire another like 10 blockchain developers and write it's too much work. We just tell them, try this out and this will work out because incentive marketing works. Promotional driving and the psychology works. If you believe in it, we can be your partners. And you don't have to know anything about blockchain. You don't even have to know the word B. That's as simple as it is. That's the difference.
Yeah, so that's awesome having just a plug and play blockchain where they don't need to worry about having the blockchain developers. They can just work on the DApp and use TTC to do the rest.
Right.
Perfect. So in terms of the TTC protocol, you have a main chain and then you have side chains for DApps and you have some cross chain stuff going on.
Right. I have to confess, I'm not too technical person on the team. Like I'm staying in Korea. Basically, yes, we're building. Initially, we're thinking about launching this idea on the ELC20, right? Mm-hmm. And then because that was probably the easiest or the most picked, most selected method out there. However, we saw a lot of challenges because we're building easy to integrate that's ready to be used inside the mobile and online services. However, with the ELC20 it was not simply possible. So we made a lot of tweaks here and there, and then I just said, did a side chain, cross chain, Mainnet. However, starting September, our developers in China, they start to figure out this is something that we can actually do in a lot shorter period of time than we first anticipated. So that's why we, instead of our original plan, which was to launch on ELC20 first and then move to Mainnet, now we're like, okay, no, we're just gonna go straight into the Mainnet. And I think we're one of the fastest blockchain products in the world. We started writing our white paper on January. And our plan is to actually migrate over 10 million users into blockchain running service ecosystem in the same year, right? Nobody's done it. Steemit, for example, which is most popular, most well-known ecosystem in crypto world, took 2 years to build 1 million user base, right? And we're talking about 10, 15 times of that size in less than a year from the white paper, go through all the ICO and all that stuff. So we're very focused on the user adoption, and this is what we really live for, right? Basically.
And that's pretty awesome. I mean, especially with what we were talking about with the plug and play, because people in terms of their experience with blockchain-based social media, they've used Steemit or DTube or stuff like that, right. And it's difficult to say. We're definitely in like the beta phase of it still. So to see something expand that quickly, that's pretty cool.
It's kind of like a Google Plus. Mm-hmm. A lot of developers came in because they thought it was cool, but they never really took up as social because that's not what social is. It was just something that it was built from the idea, and it never really took up. And a lot of the services end up that way. 99% of startups die, right, without reaching 1 million users. So our approach is that we work with those services that already passed that point. People who know how to make social, who already done that point, and then we are partnering up with them to help them grow faster. And we are using blockchain technology from our side. And that's the biggest difference, right?
Gotcha. So I'm curious, one of the things that I hear about with social media on the blockchain is just that we wouldn't be able to handle the transactions that occur. So like something with as many transactions going on as Facebook, it would be difficult on blockchain. How does it work with TTC?
Right. I think explain that in a very simple way. I will just use an example of a centralized exchange and decentralized exchange, right? So centralized exchange actually works pretty nicely. I think if you look at the rank, most of the top exchanges are centralized. And they're handling tons of exchanges, right? Tradings. How does that work? Because it is a hybrid model. It has a lot of that transactions or the data process that happens in a traditional server like AWS or the Google Cloud platform, let's say. But a lot of them are also could be on top of the on-chain. In case of exchange, when you export, when you withdraw into the, for example, MITRE wallet, then you hook into it, right? So what we're building is pretty much the same thing. We believe in service, we believe in user adoption, and I think technology is there to fulfill, there to satisfy that, there to make that happen. So you're not here to solve TPS problem. You're just using existing services that make a service that works. So our initial product will be more toward a centralized exchange. A lot of systems will be happening internally, a more traditional way. However, the core is that we're giving the value back to the user, right? That's the core thing. That's the problem that we're solving. And once we have a TPS problem solved by many, many, many smart people out there, technology is there to adapt. Not everybody has to build an iPhone, right? A lot of people build something on top of iPhone. So there we are. I think in a way, somebody told me that cryptocurrency industry is a running train without the rail, right? And then you're just running and then putting the rail as you're running, and we are the train. You're not the rail player, right? So I don't know if that answered the question, but
yeah, I think it sounds somewhat like it's almost a second layer solution where the DApps run on their own, but they're interacting with the TTC chain in order to tell where the value is going.
Right. And then once we have a better service, better infrastructure, any type of mainnet or technology that could satisfy the needs, then we can slowly upgrade into it, right?
Perfect.
And I think that's how every technology evolved in a way, right? Nobody built a perfect infrastructure and then built that on top of it. We're just going one step. We are the left foot, infra is the right foot. We just make one step,
one step at a time.
At a time, right?
Perfect. So talking about some of the DApps that you have, there's Tata UFO, Alive, and Get.eco. So can you tell us a little bit about each of those?
Sure. So Tata UFO is where the idea came from. It's a social network in China, and everybody knows about the great firewall of China, right? So there's no Facebook, there's no Google, or you need a VPN. So what's happening in China is that there's one social that survived, mainly is the little timeline inside the WeChat, which is number one messenger in China. Now people don't like it. Same thing as a Facebook in 2011-10. When you post something, your grandma reads it, your dad reads it. Young kids just hate the hell out of it, right? So, explain language.
It's totally cool. You can curse all you want on this channel.
Right. And then what happens is that people try to look for the exit, and Tata UFO is the exit. So it is a social network, 13 million users, mainly college students and maybe early graduates. So somewhere between 19 to 27 is the main focus. And this is a country where only 20% of population go to college, right? So we're talking about middle, higher class, upper class people comparatively, right? And 13 million. So it is very solid, tech savvy, smart, white collar type of people there, has a lot of potential in terms of commercial value. And that's Tata UFO. It's very similar to Instagram. It's almost like Instagram China. It also handles nearly 1 million messages a day internally. So it's very live application. So that's Tata UFO. And second one is Alive. This is an app that we acquired this year. It was a startup that was started in Korea. However, it gained a lot of popularity in USA a few years ago. So it's a video editing application that also has a video sharing community in the back. So you can edit your video, short videos, and then you can share to the world, right? So it had over 10 million downloads globally. And it has main users from US to India to China, so all over the world. So we believe that this could be something that covers the short video type or maybe expanding to more like a YouTube type of the sector of our ecosystem. And third one, Get.eco is something more like a little more geeky idea, right? So we're from IT, we love those ideas. GitHub is one of the biggest Git repository management system where a lot of people contribute to the open source, right? And we're thinking the idea is very similar. A lot of people are spending their time and resource onto something which has a value. Why don't we have a platform where you can get those value back? So DApps is something that we are starting, which you don't usually do because building a platform or a service is very difficult, we know. But this is something that we really wanted to do, as a lot of developers wanted to do. So this is a platform that we're building right now that will incentivize developers to participate in. And I think the initial impact will be something like a lot of blockchain products are doing a bug bounty program. Instead of doing a measurement in the centralized way, they can set it up in a way and then just people participate, type of code, submit, and then they receive their coin, right? So this is first impact. In the long run, we want to believe that this will change how people work in the future. You don't have to be tied to a company. You can work in Bali. You can work in any open source project that you want in the DApps, and then you just get the rewards back based on the contribution, right? And this is something that I think, a very ideal case of the decentralized way of living almost. So it's something more like a utopian idea that we really want to pursue.
That sounds awesome. I love one of the things that I really love about blockchain is how it gets people thinking again. Like, we're no longer stuck in these old ways of doing things. It's all of a sudden like we can actually create some really cool stuff. I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
There we
go. So cool. Now, being the VP of the ecosystem, what's your guys' plan for building out the ecosystem? Because I mean, it's a competitive landscape. So, what are you going to do?
I think that's a main question. 99% of my meeting happens with non-crypto players, right? I don't meet crypto funds so much. I want to meet VCs because they're the one who has access to all the service that actually has users, right? I want more people to be migrating into the blockchain because there's literally no users in the blockchain world anyway. So I talk with non-crypto players and then I talk with them non-crypto language. I don't tell them blockchain, I don't tell them there's a new technology. When mobile first came out, probably one of the pioneers didn't focus so much about explaining what the mobile infrastructure works. They probably told them how you can, how your service can be at their fingertips, for example. Anytime, anywhere, they can access yours, and then that's going to help you grow on that. I think blockchain, as I said, the entire main idea is that you want to incentivize users to drive certain actions in your social, which will increase the value and then increase the quality of your community. Now we have tools that can help you to subsidize for the cost, and then the whole decentralized, transparent way of distributing the wealth or the value to the users. And it has a really good 2 points, in my opinion. First one, just a standalone point of view, a lot of startups, a lot of communities, they don't say no to a free subsidy of the incentive that given to their users, right? So that's a very good point. And second point is that now as a blockchain is decentralized, is transparent of the distribution among all the partners, so that we have an aligned goal. Before, when you make a partnership, everybody think on their sitting, right? They're like, okay, we're doing partnership, but what's my commercial value? What's their commercial value? However, by adding more partners into ecosystem, we're adding more users. You're adding more users to the ecosystem, and then we're adding more use to the TTC coin, which will increase the value of TTC coin, meaning the incentive their user receive has higher value, meaning their marketing performance will go higher. And it's a good cycle for companies, the partners to actually bring more other companies and partners into the ecosystem. So we're actually building an alliance, right? We're not just making a partnership on a paper. We're actually inviting them and then telling them we can grow this ecosystem all together. And that's our strategy. So my 99% non-crypto, and so if anybody who owns a startup or community listening to video, I mean, you're really open, welcome. You'll be surprised how easy and simple this could work actually. And we can literally migrate millions of users into blockchain overnight. You migrate, you put it on a Google Play, people update it, you're on blockchain. That's as simple as that.
That's awesome for getting integration, getting mass adoption, because now I mean, one of the biggest issues that that I saw going to conferences in like December, January, February was that we have all these brand new ideas, but for every blockchain developer, there's like 14 jobs for blockchain developers. So like there's a huge disparity between the number of people who can actually program on the blockchain and the number of jobs that were needed at that time. So having a plug and play solution, that's something that's pretty cool.
Right. I mean, people are out there. People are spending so much time online, offline, and everybody is mobile already. So what I thought that was really interesting is that, as I said before, this is similar to offline to online, online to mobile. However, the biggest difference is that first two waves, there's a lot of resources that was required from the user's point of view. For example, if I were in, let's say, 1997, if I wanted to try out, let's say, Amazon.com, I actually had to purchase computer or go to library and get an access to computer, right? Which is work. And then I had to sign up, which is work, right? And then online to mobile, I had to buy a mobile phone, right? Which is hundreds of dollars. And also I had to download an app again, right? That's a work. However, now what we're talking is that once the platform owners decide to integrate blockchain SDK into their system, people don't have to do anything. They wake up, they go to the app, and it's there. It's kind of like if the developer decides to put the Facebook login in there, update it, people don't have any choice. People don't have to do any work. Starting that day, they can log in using Facebook login, right? What we're saying is that this is entirely B2B decision to migrate millions of users. Users don't have any sayings or choices, because this is something the user can entirely ignore too, because you can receive a cryptocurrency, you just decide not to use it, that's your choice too, right? So there's no plus minus, it's just the business decision, and we saw that clearly, and our entire strategy is built on that direction. We're not asking developers to build from the bottom over nothing. It's just like, you're doing your thing, keep doing your thing, and we can help you do better. Right? Incentivizing users, contribution, value that to the people, right?
Yeah. So I like that. It's a low barrier of entry, and basically like they always say that blockchain is going to reach mass adoption when people don't even know they're using it. And I think this is one of the first projects that I've heard of where people probably won't know they're using it because they're just going to open up their app one day and realize they have this cryptocurrency that they can use.
For example, if any community or let's say, I'm sure you use either Facebook or Instagram, let's say, if they start giving you, Instagram start giving you diamond for you using it, right? And people will be receiving diamonds, and however they use it, it's based on however Instagram offers, which method you can spend those. However, people will be receiving it, whether they use it or not, it's up to them, and it's not going to change how they behave most of the time. But once they realize it has a value, then it could drive them to do certain actions more, right? Yeah. And this is exactly what we're saying, that you don't have to tell one person at a time that cryptocurrency is awesome, blockchain could change your life, or you can get your value back. You just get it back, right? And then it's really up to them how they use it. And education could happen later. Adoption could happen first. And a lot of time people talk about the other way. You have to tell them how to use money to give them money, but we're like, no, give them money and put the bread there, and people will start figuring it out, right? So this is how we approach. And I'm sure we are the first, because I've never met another team that talks like this, work like this. So,
yeah. So I got to ask you, what excites you the most about TTC?
User adoption. This is, I think about it. You're talking about, this is an entirely new thing. This is kind of like a 2010 in Korea, because mobile kind of happened a little later. And I joined 2011 in Korea. When I first joined the SoftBank Ventures, it was really lucky for me, because that was the era when the most of mobile startup came out. A lot of them went IPO in the next following years. And not before, not after. And that got me thinking, is that, was there more geniuses working on certain product during that era, or was it timing? And I think it's timing, right? So right now, it really excites me that I think we're at the right timing, that it's been 10 years since the Bitcoin came out, I'm not wrong, right? And I think we are finally talking about user adoption, right? Finally talking about a lot of big companies such as Line or the Kakao in Korea. They're both number in their sectors that they're coming in. Telegram talked about it. I don't know what they're doing, but it's amazing timing that it doesn't have to educate every single people out there, but businesses are noticing, industry is noticing, and I think our strategy will be spot on because it only requires a few decision makers' decision to actually migrate millions of users into the blockchain. And I'm just excited to work for a project that just drives that, and then being a leader of that operation, and it's really exciting for me.
Well, that's awesome, and that's what everybody wants. We all want mass adoption, so I'm looking at you to make it happen.
Keep looking at us.
Cool. So I think we answered a lot of things. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover? Anything?
I don't know. There's a lot of stories behind the tech and whatnot, but I think today, since we wanted to be brief and succinct, and user adoption, I think that's the key. I think people have a question about utility tokens. It's really about user adoption. More people using it and more places accepting it will be the main agenda for all the utility tokens. And then I think I believe that TTC protocol, our product, is one of the very pioneer product that actually has a logical solution that you're pursuing right now. Very unique solution as well. And I think I want more people to just pay a little more attention to our product, right? Because I think it's really coming as early as end of this year. You'll see millions of people using cryptocurrencies. We're expanding the pie, and it's very exciting. So, user adoption, TTC protocol.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, cool. Chase, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
All right, Randall. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was awesome.
Have a good one.
All right. Cheers.